London Reels. Way better idea. Sponsored by Xbrain. What's the first thing you do when you get into work in the morning? Check your email, right? Wrong. I took a tip from Tim Ferriss, former guest on London Reel, and I'm now following the information diet. You see, when someone sends you a message on Facebook, email, or even Twitter, it's their agenda for your time. And what you need to focus on is your agenda. So I stay off the email and the messaging systems until 12 noon every day. And instead, I write that proposal that I need to, I make that phone call, or worst case, I compose an email, but I do it offline. That way, you can get the most done with your day and not just continually be reactive to those who are demanding your time. That's today's Way Better Idea, brought to you by the folks at Xbrain. If you want to check out their Way Better protein powder, it's grass-fed, it's free range. You can get 15% off with the customer code LondonReal. Click on the link below or go to xbrain.co.uk. Peace! So you made your trips over to Papua New Guinea after you finished at Cambridge, is that right?
That's right. My first PNG trip was 1964, after I got my PhD and after I had returned to the US.
When you came here in England in '58, did you ever see that evolution of your career? Because you studied physiology here at Cambridge, is that right?
That's true. No, I did not foresee that evolution of my career. I assumed that getting a PhD in physiology, I would then go on to do physiology and become a professor at a medical school, which I did. But within a year or two of getting my PhD and being in a medical school, it suddenly hit me the awful realization that I'm expected to do gallbladder physiology for the rest of my life, and my aspirations extended beyond the gallbladder. And so I cooked up a project to go to Peru for mountain climbing and then to watch birds in the Amazon. And the next year, my friend and I cooked up a project to go to New Guinea, which was wild and adventurous, to watch birds, and I love New Guinea, so I've been going back ever since.
And you went there originally for the birds?
I went there originally for the birds, second for the birds, third for the birds, and always for the birds.
And the observation of the humans was a secondary or just an ancillary benefit?
It's incidental in that to do anything in New Guinea, all land in New Guinea is owned by people. So you can't just walk around and watch birds. You have to ask the permission of the local people. May I watch birds in your garden? And in addition, to follow the trail, I get local people to guide me on the trail, and then they point out the birds, but we're always chatting. So as we're watching birds, they want to know, well, how many wives do you have, and how many pigs do you have, and how big is your garden? I then say, how many wives do you have, how many pigs do you have? So we're chatting about all sorts of life and times.
And can you describe what it was like when you first went there? You must have heard stories, you must have mentally prepared yourself for what the people were like, but what was it really like when you arrived?
Well, before I'd gone there, I was naive, and I knew that New Guineans had recently, and some of them still were, using stone tools. They had been fighting, they didn't have clothing, they didn't have writing, they didn't have state government. They were what was then called primitive people. I didn't know what to expect, and it took me about one day to realize that these are smart, normal people, as curious and engaged as any American or Europeans. Yes, they were recently using stone tools, and there must be a reason why these smart people did not invent steel tools themselves. So that question, why the difference in technology, was in the back of my mind and led to my book, Guns, Germs, and Steel, because it took me 25 years to figure out the answer.
Right, because that book was in '97 that was published, is that right?
That was 97.
And your first visit was 64, 65?
First visit to New Guinea was 64, then 65, then 66.
And those ideas already started in your head as far as those kind of questions to yourself?
The ideas, no. The questions, yes.
Okay.
The question, why did these people end up with stone tools, came up right at the beginning. The answer, I didn't know the answer. Historians didn't know the answer. Historians didn't discuss the question because it was too big a question. The question gradually grew on me, particularly after in 1972 a New Guinean asked me straight out. He didn't say, Jared, you're a dope, so why on earth did you and your dopey society invent metal and we didn't? Instead he asked, why is it that you white people have all the cargo and we black people don't. And I blabbered something, but as soon as I blabbered it, I knew it was wrong, and that got me thinking about the answer to this biggest question of history, namely why history unfolded differently on different continents.
And it's that story that you start off Guns, Germs, and Steel with.
That's the beginning of Guns, Germs.
That is This week on London Real, former MI5 intelligence officer turned whistleblower, Annie Machon.
What we're looking at now is a de facto police state. You know, all the laws are in place, they're just not being applied to most citizens yet. I think it's not a case of having anything to hide, it's having a case that I have a right to privacy, and I can't guarantee my government will uphold that right, therefore I need to take the steps to do it.
She talks NSA whistleblower, Edward Snowden.
He would die for his country. He wants to try and improve the way his country operates within its own boundaries and protect its citizens. And we seem to forget and think that human rights are a luxury. They're not, they're fundamental, and privacy is one of them.
On Sunday, London Real presents Annie Machon, whistleblower.
So it's a very British mess, is the short answer.